Is it just me? Or has it been a really rocky year for film? You see, I've always loved film. There's always been something magical about the art of film. Something I can't quite put my finger on, but I know that it's been with me since birth. So when the year is as disappointing as it has been, it really hurts you. There are so many other distractions in the world. You've got social media.
You've got countless guys.
People glamorizing themselves.
And I am a fan of movies.
Celebrities don't matter. Actors don't matter. No one cares about actors anymore. Who cares?
We got snowmen!
Okay, so tell me, who's your favorite filmmaker now? Is it Nolan? Villeneuve? Can you name anyone else? Think back to the 70s. You could name Lucas.
Yes, I bet you have.
Coppola. Scorsese.
You talking to me?
Spielberg. De Palma. Freakin'.
Power of Christ compels you!
Bye.
Pleasure to meet you.
Is this your therapy? Is this what you want? So maybe it is time to start all again. And that's why I decided it was time to start watching older films. So it was time to look back to the old. It was time to look at something a little more authentic. You're probably thinking, how pretentious. How very pretentious. And, you know, you're right. But there's something beautiful about older films.
You're an errand boy, sent by grocery clerks to collect a bill.
And these are some of the films I've been watching recently.
These are the 15 films I've watched recently. First to most recent, and not in order of quality. First up is Transformers 1. They need to stop dragging this old franchise up from the dead. This film, whilst not bad, isn't good either. I have no interest in knowing why Optimus Prime and Megatron are enemies and their backstory. A star-studded voice cast, nice visuals, but please, no more Transformers. Now before we go on, I should probably tell you that I gave all these films marks on my IMDb page as I watched them. And this film, I gave a 6 out of 10. Saturday Night. The story of how the everlasting Saturday Night Live TV show was invented and started. I like this one. It feels gritty, it has some really nice moments and a lot of heart. It does delve into some cheesiness at times, but the young and upcoming cast are really good in this film. And an actor that I really rate is Dylan O'Brien, who is completely unrecognizable in this film as Dan Aykroyd. 7 for this one. Kneecap. Now, Kneecap is an interesting Irish film featuring a resurgent Michael Fassbender. This film was really hyped up towards the end of 2024, being acclaimed as the next Trainspotting. Now, it's not that good to hold that title, but it is a fun romp that really raises some really good awareness about social and political issues in Ireland that are not discussed often enough. A really promising debut from director Rich Papiat. And another solid 7 from me. Now, there was 2 films that I was really excited to see in 2024. The other one was The Brutalist. Now, I haven't seen The Brutalist yet because it's not out in the UK, but I did see Anora. This was top of the list and it did not disappoint. Films like this make me believe that cinema is still the #1 art form. It's a slice of life drama by the ever impressive Sean Baker, whose work I'd never seen until Red Rocket a couple of years back, which is also a great film if you've not seen that. Mickey Madison puts in an amazing performance. and probably the best one I've seen in 2024. I think she's an absolute shoo-in for Best Actress at the Oscars. This was a solid A, and if you've not seen this film, you need to watch it. Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. Now, this film was sad, a sad documentary about the life of the Superman actor Christopher Reeve. And it is heartbreaking stuff. But I also must say, it is 2 hours of misery. I didn't think it was an overly compelling documentary, if I'm being honest. However, 3 weeks on, and I'm still thinking about it. So maybe it was better than I thought. Either way, it's a 7 from me. Broadway Danny Rose. This Woody Allen film is one of the few I haven't seen from the long-established director, and I am separating the art from the man. Now, this film is not one of his best. It has a usual Woody Allen flair. It looks gorgeous because, again, he used the wonderful Godfather cinematographer Gordon Willis, but this one felt like more of a side quest Woody Allen film than one of his big hitters. Although Mia Farrow, his ex-wife, is absolutely amazing in this film, and it got a 6 from me. Now, the next film is one that I've been putting off for most of my life, and I don't really know why, but I finally watched it, the 1966 classic, The Battle of Algiers. This film is actually a masterpiece in filmmaking. It tells the true story of the Algiers fight for independence from the French government. Shot in almost documentary fashion, with raw energy, this film sits amongst the most important and one of the greatest films I've seen. And it highlights a piece of history that is really spoken about, but is still impactful even today. Watch this film. It's an 8 out of 10 for me. And then I whiplash from the 60s to 2024 by watching Juror number 2, which might be Clint Eastwood's last film. And damn, this man can direct a film. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not a masterpiece or legendary film, but the script is solid, the performances are good, and it's a damn sight better than 99% of all the films that came out in 2024. These are the kind of films that in the 80s and the 90s were actually seen as blockbusters, but nowadays, a film like this is just released straight to streaming. Why? I do not know. Because as I mentioned, it's way better than most of the other dross that's been released recently. Another solid 7 from me, which leaves us to the next film, which is Z. Now, after watching Battle of the Algiers, it was only right to watch a film that's similar and also from the 60s. Z is another incredible film, another quasi-French production. This is the true story of the assassination of a political figure in Greece. Although the film never really references locations and keeps it vague, but the structure again is documentary-esque and works brilliantly for me. Standout performances all round, and the cinematography is fantastic. This film highly influenced Oliver Stone's JFK, and you can see why, with its bending of the truth, jumping of timelines, and a central prosecutor who is relentless. An 8 again here. From a film that uses documentary-like structure to a real documentary. Easy Riders, Raging Bull, How Sex, Drugs and Rock and Roll Generation Saved Hollywood. This is a very relevant documentary about how the old studio system of Hollywood was shaped up by French New Wave in the 60s, and how Hollywood became a director-led system in the 70s for 10 whole years. But it also shows how Spielberg's Jaws and Lucas's Star Wars turned it into a money-making machine, which still exists today. And it feels like we might be about to go through another change, just like in the 70s, pretty soon. This documentary is extensive and compelling. I gave it an 8. Now listen, we're down to the last films that I saw in 2024. But I just want to say to you guys, thank you for all the support in 2024. It was amazing. It was incredible. You helped the channel grow so much, and I'm here because of you. Thank you. And then I watched another documentary. Now the thing is with documentaries is that I love how they really place you in a time period and make you think about a subject in more depth than some films can. And in music artist, Daniel Johnston is someone who I knew a little about, but not enough really to form a real opinion on. The documentary The Devil and Daniel Johnston left me feeling rather anxious. He had a really sad life full of mental health issues and inherent religious overtones. Whilst I can appreciate a couple of his songs, I don't think he really resonated with me as a music artist. But this documentary is full of so many video recordings that he made and other people around him made. His artwork and tales from people who were around him at the time, that you really feel a sense of dread and a sense of sadness for his life. It really is a brilliant documentary, and I think you should definitely watch it. And it's another 8 from me. Now, I just want to say, an 8 for me is probably a 9 to you, or maybe a 10 to you. No film that I have ever seen is a 10. Never. I think the highest rating I will ever give a film is a 9, like a Shawshank Redemption or Godfather 1, Godfather 2. Those are 9. So if you're thinking there's a lot of 8s here, probably to you there might be 10s, there might be 9s, but to me, there's no such a thing as a 10. Now, for the record, that was 3 8s in a row, and straight on to my first ever John Cassavetes film, A Woman Under the Influence. Starring Columbo himself, Peter Falk, and a dazzling performance from Gina Rowlands. Cassavetes is one of these hardly spoken about directors who I've kept in the back pocket for my entire life, for a rainy day like I did have during the end of 2024. I wanted to explore his work when I was ready, and I felt completely at ease to sit down and really soak up what a great director he supposedly is. And wow, this film is mind-blowing. It is a masterpiece. It's a real actor's piece with dense and hypnotic performances from Rowland and Falk. This is raw filmmaking, just like I like it. No reliance on music or flashy visuals, no massive storyline. Just a slice of life tale about a married couple going through huge issues. I absolutely loved this film, and thusly, it's the 4th 8 rating in a row. Watch this film if you just want to be moved from the incredible acting. And another director I've kept in the back pocket was Russian director Andrei Tarkovsky. So it was time to explore his work, and I started off with his most famous film, Stalker, the 1979 sci-fi classic. Now, the visuals here are stunning. There's no doubt about that. The scope of work put into this film is unparalleled, especially for the time. Some of the visual poetry is wonderful. This is a hell of a long film though, coming in at just under 3 hours. But I must say, I wasn't blown away by this film. It certainly was good, but I wasn't compelled by the story nor the characters. In fact, I found them quite underwhelming. Now, having said that, there are some really special moments in this film, and therefore it's a 7. And from Russia to Poland with Ida, the 2013 film about a nun who finds out she's in fact Jewish, is a well-respected film. I heard really good things about the film, and much like Stalker, it looks really good. Some really nice subtle performances too, but it didn't connect with me as much as I would liked it to. It felt quite standoffish and quite cold, and lastly I couldn't quite get behind the characters. So for me, it's a 6. And that leaves us with just one more, and maybe the film I was most disappointed with, 2024's very own Wicked. Now, let me just start off this little mini review by saying that I love musicals, and I love Wicked. It's my favorite ever musical. I've seen it 11 times, so you know that I love this film. However, that's where the problem lays for me. I was expecting the film to do something quite different from the musical, but instead it leans so heavily into the musical that it becomes a problem. Things that work on stage and with a live audience and make the production magical when you're there and watching it in person didn't translate to film very well. Loads of jokes fell flat, and I wasn't a huge fan of the CGI animals either. And most importantly, and I'm not sure who's to blame here, the studio or the director, but the filmmaking is absolutely woeful. There are so many scenes that lack coverage and where the camera should be placed elsewhere for a bigger impact, or when the editing is just completely off. After a while, I could not stop seeing all these basic errors. It was really disappointing. And this film was a film I was really looking forward to. Now, Cynthia Erivo is good, and Ariana Grande is okay, but having seen 5 different actresses play this role over the years, she certainly isn't the best I've seen play the role. And really, the film is far too long. The musical is about 2 hours and 30 minutes in total when you watch it on stage. I have no idea why this film, which is only one part of the whole story, takes 3 hours to get its point across. And it really does start to grate after about 2 hours. Lastly, the cinematography is really bad in this film. It's overlit. Now, I think I know what they were trying to go for, but if you compare it to the original film, Wizard of Oz, it looks like trash. However, I am going to give this film a 6 because I can see there was a lot of enthusiasm and energy behind the scenes. And honestly, any film that shows that kind of enthusiasm and love for its source material really deserves to be credited. So a 6 is what it is. And I easily, with that lack of enthusiasm, it could have been a 4 or 5. And the ironic thing is that this was the last film that I saw in 2024 because it perfectly sums up my opinion on modern day films. They're a real mess, just like this film. The basic principles of filmmaking seem to have been abandoned for what? I don't even know what they've abandoned it for, but it's really bad.
And essentially, that's the issue. The issue is, where does it stop? Will it ever stop?
With what I know how to, and you're giving me, it's like you're giving me a life sentence if you do that. You can't do that.
Or is it how filmmaking is going to be from now on? Do you call what we have right now film? Is it still film? It doesn't feel like film. What's the solution? Do we start again? Feels like we should start again. Feels like we should tear it all up. Start from the beginning. Go back to German expressionism. Go back to Italian neorealism. Go back to those swinging 50s.
And what is the end? Is the end definitive? Does it feel like the end is definitive? Maybe there's no such thing as definitive end. Maybe the end is exactly what you think it is. Maybe it's the rebirth of something new. But guys, the question remains, what can we do? How do we fix the film industry? Do you think the film industry is broken? If you do, let me know in the comments. And if you don't, also let me know in the comments. I think it is broken. I'm looking forward to a time where things get better. And hopefully that time's coming up very, very soon. Speak to you soon.